By far, the most common question I receive is why? Why do you choose to homeschool? For the homeschooling community as a whole, the answers to this question are as diverse as the families themselves. And while the answers may vary greatly, those who continue to homeschool often do so because their reason for why they chose to homeschool led to them falling in love with homeschooling. My name is Carrie, and I'm the headmaster at Tri-Village Academy, LLC, where we give families at any stage of their homeschooling journey the educational support, guidance, and insight of an experienced teacher. If you still have questions after watching this video, join our homeschooling community at trivillageacademy.com. Until then, I'd like to share with you the top 5 reasons I fell in love with homeschooling. If I had to sum up the reason I love homeschooling into just one word, it would be this: flexibility. As a homeschooling parent, I have the flexibility to choose our schedule, our classroom, our field trips and experiences, the curriculum we use, and more. I love that I do not have to answer to anyone if my child needs a sick day, or just a day to simply be a kid. From scheduling breaks to planning family vacations, to choosing a daily start time and end time, I am in full control of our daily and yearly schedules. And I have the flexibility to change that schedule if necessary, so it always fits my family's needs. I love that I'm able to plan our class field trips to match my students' interests along with fitting into the schedules of others who may wish to join us. We never feel stuck inside of the 4 walls of our classroom because we get to decide where and how we spend our time. And we are outside a lot. But of all the aspects of homeschooling that are flexible, the most important to me is having the flexibility to choose the curriculum that best suits my children, which leads me to the second reason I fell in love with homeschooling, and that is being able to follow the interests of my children. I am absolutely passionate about interest-led education. The reason being is I think so many adults can relate. Think back to a topic that you were absolutely fascinated with as a child. Did you seek out your own learning opportunities? Did you read up on the topic, write about it, or find a way to experience whatever it was through hands-on learning? Perhaps this led to future investigations or learning opportunities. Now, think of a time that you were told to do an assignment on a topic you had absolutely no interest in. What connection did you feel with that task? Did you eagerly rush to get it done? Or did you drag your feet and procrastinate? It may be difficult to recall such an assignment, as it didn't stand out enough in your educational experience to even be memorable, though you experienced assignments just like that. For me, this was a geography project in the 5th grade, where I was stuck with researching a state that I had absolutely no connection to and no interest in. I didn't have any say in which state I was assigned, and to this day, I dread hearing that state's name be mentioned, and I don't recall anything I was supposed to learn for the project. It comes as no surprise that students retain more knowledge, experience more engagement, and are generally more eager to pursue learning when given a topic they are interested in. Homeschooling allows me to customize my children's curriculum so that they can explore their interests. Here's another thing to think about. Can you recall a time when you were in the process of learning about a topic of interest only to have the teacher end the unit study and move on to a completely different topic? From my experience, giving the students the freedom to dive deep into the subject of their choosing for whatever length of time they wish usually leads to the discovery of a new interest and the next topic for investigation. It becomes a chain, and as the child grows, so does their connection to the topics of study. Some unit studies may be revisited with opportunities to extend the learning, while other topics of interest might be set aside. The importance is following your child's lead, and I love that homeschooling makes this possible. Another reason I fell in love with homeschooling is the ability to remove that which doesn't serve my students. For us, this is homework and standardized testing. Now, I know I've said it before, but when it comes to standardized testing, check what is required for your local homeschooling regulations. As a public school student myself, I remember spending many long hours after school completing homework assignments for various classes, often limiting the free time that I had. It seems as I aged up in grade, the homework load increased, though not necessarily the difficulty of the assignments, just the amount of work. I can remember the added stress of staying up until the early morning hours trying to complete all of the homework that I had to the standards that I held for myself. As a parent, I now reflect on how unnecessary that is, and if I can spare my child of that stress, I will. I want my children's evenings to be free for time with family and time for them to just be children, so I have a no homework policy. I plan enough for our class lessons to know where each student stands skill-wise. The lessons we are able to complete each week more than cover all of the basic subjects, with extracurricular subjects such as foreign language, technology, art, and PE added in. Aside from possibly studying spelling words for an upcoming test, there is no need for any assigned work to be done outside of our class time. Yes, you heard that right. I said test. We choose not to participate in standardized testing, but this does not mean I steer away from testing altogether in our classroom setting. I choose to test students in the areas of math and spelling. I also choose to use those tests as a learning tool, allowing the students to learn from their mistakes and truly master the material, rather than just marking something incorrect and moving on. For spelling, this simply means that we move any words the student may have missed on one test to the next week's spelling test, giving another chance to master the material. It wouldn't make sense to see a student misspell a word, mark it incorrect, and then just move on, never to see that word on a spelling test again, and then wonder why the student continues to misspell the word in writing assignments. My goal is always mastery of material. Same for math. Problems that are incorrect are noted. Students have the opportunity to revisit the lesson relating to the math problem and rework the numbers to find the correct solution. The test can then be resubmitted for a higher grade. Keep in mind, this is what works for us. I do a lot of project-based learning when it comes to the other subjects, and I can dive into greater detail in that on another video. So if you would like to hear more about any of these topics, comment below. The fourth reason I fell in love with homeschooling is class read-alouds. It may not be an obvious choice like flexibility or no standardized tests, but this part of our day almost feels magical. Our classroom is made up of several students, including my own, of mixed ages. And while I wouldn't say we have a strict routine, we definitely have a rhythm to our days. When I pull out a chapter book and announce it's time for class read aloud, the students gather round, some choosing to work on little projects with their hands like Legos, painting, weaving, or such. I get comfortable, and together we lose ourselves in the story. It is amazing to me how each student, ranging in age from 2 to 11, listens as the tale unfolds, asking questions, making predictions, and reacting to the actions of the characters. By the time one chapter is finished, I'm often met with requests for a second and third to be read. We like to mix it up, sometimes enjoying the story around the cozy reading chair in the classroom, and other days finding a calming place outside. But the experience is always the same, the sharing of a tale, and students forming connections to the characters, the story, and one another through the sharing of a class read aloud. Science has shown that there are many benefits to reading aloud to children, even after they've mastered reading independently. Listening to a story being read by a trusted, loving teacher allows children to expand their vocabularies, strengthen information processing, and improve reading comprehension. Studies have shown that children who are read aloud to are more motivated to read independently as well. If you do not currently implement read-alouds in your homeschool, I strongly suggest you give it a try. The fifth reason I fell in love with homeschooling is the one that really speaks to my heart, and that is I get the priceless gift of more time with my children. Before we started our homeschooling journey, my daughter attended public school, and I worked full-time with very limited time off. I missed her class celebrations, and I struggled with that, knowing how short a season it is that we truly get to enjoy these years with our children being school-aged. The transition to homeschooling allowed me to be fully present for both of my kids. Now, I get to witness each milestone. My 2-year-old just learned to count to 10 independently, and while that achievement may seem small, it was one that I will remember because of the size of his smile and the pride in his eyes. Even our day-to-day routine is made memorable because of the little inside jokes we share and seeing my children make connections from past learning to new lessons. It's almost like having our own secret language where we just understand one another. Just thinking about the amount of time we are saving, not having to wake up and rush out the door each morning, or not having a long bus ride home at the end of the day, and instead spending that time together or using it as we wish, that is valuable. Yes, I know that there are those people who say, I could never homeschool. I need time away from my children. I get that, and I hear you. I understand the need of time to myself, but it is possible to get me time and homeschool. For me, it's just really cool knowing that I can look at my children and honestly say I enjoy spending each day with them and getting to know who they are becoming as people. What feels like a gift to me now, I hope will be a gift recognized by my children in the future when they leave home and look back on their school years. For me, this is the number one reason I love homeschooling. Now that I've shared my top 5 reasons for falling in love with homeschooling, I'd like to hear your number one reason for continuing to homeschool. What aspect of homeschooling have you absolutely fallen in love with most? Leave me a comment below. And if you still have questions about homeschooling, visit tryvillageacademy.com. There you can sign up for one of our courses and join our homeschooling community. And remember, it takes a village.